All right, we're going to pick up from where we left off yesterday. So quick refresher, the first thing we did was draw a vanishing point right in the middle. That is the most important thing you do. I can't stress that enough. I often have kids, when I let them loose and they're starting your finished project, they totally forget about you need a vanishing point. They start drawing lines every which way. Start with the vanishing point. Yesterday we drew some shapes, basic shapes, and then we did step 3, these orthogonals. We drew all of those lines that go toward the vanishing point. Orthogonals. And now we're on to step 4. This is something you get to decide, where you drop in your parallel lines. And this is where a lot of people start messing up. So here's what I want to show you. I'm going to take this square and I'm going to turn it into a cube. Maybe something like a Rubik's Cube or a die. Like you've got a pair of dice. So I decide, as I come through this, what I call this space zone, where to put a line that's parallel to this one. I need a line going the same direction as this one. Straight up and down. Well, if I want to make it a cube, I'm going to put it right around here. And it's got to be vertical, straight up and down. If it's slanted a little bit, it's going to look a little wonky. But I'm trying to make these two lines parallel. Then I can erase my orthogonals. So try to get into the habit of drawing your orthogonals really light, knowing you're going to erase them. And you should end up with something that looks like a 3D cube in one-point perspective. It doesn't really look that impressive until I do this. Shade and detail. So watch as I just put a little shadow on this side, and it looks a little bit more three-dimensional, a little more solid. I'm just going to make mine a die. Let's just put number 1 right here. Maybe there's 3 on this side. If I'd used a ruler, this would look a little prettier, but that works. All right, let's tackle this one. This one's a little bit different. Even though it's still a square, we've got 2 sides that need parallel lines. These 2 lines. Now I'm going to turn this into a loaf of bread. So I decide where to put these parallel lines. If I'm making it a loaf of bread, I'm probably going to put this one back a little further. All I do know is it needs to be parallel to this one, going the same direction.
When you're doing parallel lines, you should be using a ruler or a triangle with you.
One way to do this is to put your straight edge on this line and then just move it back until it's parallel. Don't twist it or turn it. Just move it back. Now in this case, logically, I need to kind of start from this corner. I want it to be the same direction as this one, straight up and down. So these 2 lines should be horizontal and vertical. And it kind of looks like a stick of butter right now, but what goes good with butter? Some bread. So I'm going to carve this a little bit. And this is how a lot of artists will work. They'll draw a rectangle and carve a car out of it. If this were bread, well, maybe this is more round here, or dips down here and comes in a little bit. Think about a piece of bread and how it might look. I think I'll do the same back here. And give it some texture. Make this a bit more solid. Typically we don't want to outline so harsh like this, but for the sake of your understanding and the fact this is just a sketch, Let's slice it up. Lots of slices this way and that. Loaf of bread. So no matter if it looks like a loaf of bread yet or not, we are going to move on. We have a lot to get to today. Let's mess with this rectangle over here. It just requires one line. Unless yours is above or below the vanishing point, you might have an extra side. But for mine, I just know that I need, if I come through this space zone, I hit this line, and I need a line parallel to it. I decide where to put it. I can put it back here. I can put it here. I'll put it right here. I'll just make this a brick. Just a short brick. A window opener. Don't forget to erase your orthogonals. Let no one see your magic sauce, your trickery. They help us, but we don't want to leave them there, or else people say, oh, I see how you did that. We want to, convey the illusion of space, like a two-dimensional magician. Now, I'm going to address this triangle down here. This one is a little trickier. A lot of people will mess this one up because they start thinking too much. There's no real thinking. It's not guessing and saying, so kind of like that, you mean? Like, how do you know? There's no guessing. It's all about step 4, parallel lines. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to put my straight edge right on this side, and I'm going to move it away. I'm not even looking at the orthogonals. I'm just looking at this line, and I want to make sure that my straight edge is going the same direction, that it's parallel. That's, I decided to put it there. I could have moved it back further, but I think I'm going to turn this into, say, a tent. And since I stopped right here, well, that's where I've got to make the other side. So I'll put my straight edge right on this edge and move it back so that it's parallel and lined up with that other corner. There we go. And now I have made a tent in one-point perspective with what kind of a view? Bird's eye view. Yeah, it's below my vanishing points, which is my eye level. So I'm actually looking down onto it as though I'm sort of flying over. If you want to fancy it up, just make your tent open up. Maybe shade one side or another. That always makes things look more 3D. And while you're drawing, I'm going to build a fire over here. And now we can go camping. Circles are a little different. Circles don't have corners, so here's the trick for those. If I want to make this into a cylinder, maybe it's going to be a tube of chapstick. Well, then I decide, well, not where to put my parallel, but well, sort of. I'm going to make this curve. In fact, I'm going to make the whole circle. I'm going to try to fit a circle in between those two lines. Just like in your Illusions of Space handout. So if you can get another perfect circle, it's much smaller, it's its little brother, then you'll find the exact curve you need here. Go ahead and do step 5, which is to erase the orthogonals. And now it looks like a sort of transparent piece of old school chalk or something. Take it a step further. We can make it solid by erasing that part of the circle. Maybe I want a cap for this chapstick. Yeah, see if you can make a cap, adding another circle right in between those two orthogonals. And really what we want is this bottom line here. The rest we'll do away with, leaving us with the cap to your chapstick. Your parents ask what you did today. What did you learn today in school? How to draw a chapstick in one-point perspective. Okay, well, there you have it. Let's fancy this up. Let's write right on this line going toward the vanishing point. Chapstick. Add a little shading. All right. And now I'm going to tackle Mr. L's L. This one's a little different. I'm trying to show you guys all the possible things you might run into. These are some of the basic ones. With an L, this is a little weird. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little space zones, or 4 sides that need parallel lines. Basically, if you think about it this way, hopefully you're looking up here, we're going to echo these 4 lines. We're just going to make them smaller back here. So you decide, I'm going to make mine a chair. So I'm going to go back about this far, and that's where I'll make my first parallel line. Once I've made that decision, now I'm going to be kind of bound to that corner. Notice that this one comes over horizontally, so this one must also come over horizontal. And this next one goes up vertically. Therefore, this one must go up vertical. This next one is perfectly horizontal. So you don't just want to throw up any old line. You want to go horizontal, the same direction, parallel. And this may be the world's most uncomfortable chair at 90-degree angles here. But at least it's kind of chair-like. It's in one-point perspective. Let's make it look fancier. Let's add a couple legs. Just a couple lines with a little bottom. Just make those 2 first. I'll show you a cool trick to make the other 2 legs look like they're actually in perspective. Unlike that weird-looking table we saw on a slide yesterday where it was all plastic-looking. Give you 1 second to catch up, and I'm going to show you how to make these last 2 legs. In fact, I probably won't have room for this other leg. I'm only going to see this 3rd leg. I'm going to draw a line from the bottom of this leg toward the vanishing point and make an orthogonal. And I know the other leg is going to be right on that line. I mean, if I think about where the other one might live, yeah, it's going to be back here somewhere. I'm not going to see that one. Now you could leave it like a right angle L chair that is uncomfortable. But what a lot of artists will do, just like our Brad over here, is, they'll carve it a little bit. They'll start with some basic shapes, but then they'll make this chair maybe have a bit of an angle to it. And make it a little bit rounded and a little more comfortable to sit on. Let's put a little pillow on there because this thing does not look comfortable. Hey, how's it going?
I have couches like that.
Do you?
It's not very
No. And lastly, some shading is going to really bring it to life. So let's make this side maybe one value and the front is a different value. That's what really makes it look 3D. Heck, if you want, put a little cast shadow underneath. Then we're really bringing it to life. Mr. King, who do you need to see? Riley Stewart. Now, I'm going to let you folks tackle your bizarre shape, whatever it might be in the corner, but if yours is a little tricky, you may want to watch me. Actually, yeah, I want to show you. Watch me for 1 second, because this one does have its own few odds and ends. I'll give you 10 more seconds, then I want you to look up here. All right. This is weird. This is not a straight line. It's not exactly a curve like the circle. But what I'm going to do is just make this same curve. Same rules apply. I'm just trying to echo that line. And I decided to put it there. I could have done it down here or wherever I want. And here's where it gets a little bit crazy. I have to think about this distance I've gone when I start to make other lines. Like I want to make that same distance. And then it's going to go over this way. So I'm always looking at this edge. And I'm probably not going to see anything up in there. Then it wraps up this way. That might be about it. It's a little bit more of a thinking game. It's not so, basic like a rectangle or square. But with some shading, it really comes to life. If this were lit on the top, might look something like this. So yours might give you some troubles. I'm not too concerned if you get that to work or not. That's kind of advanced. But now we've drawn a bunch of stuff in one-point perspective. Again, I really encourage you folks not to be frustrated. Just come see me. I'll leave a few minutes at the end of class for you to come find me. Come in at lunchtime. I'll be hanging out, or I might be next door in the teacher's lounge. Or come after school. Watch the videos on YouTube again. But you have to be able to do these basic things, or else this big 500-point assignment is not going to treat you well. Okay, what I'd like to do next with the rest of the class is kind of do a more practical application of this. Like, let's build an outside scene and put some of these things in it so you can really get a sense of the space. So get a whole new page, and at the top, write 1 point exterior. Or it's exterior, like exit, it's outside. You work at a paint store, you would want to use exterior paint for the outside. If you put interior paint outside, it might, over time, just kind of melt off your house. This is true, yeah. What is your part-time job, Ms. Coe?
Oh, I work actually at a paint store, so I know this. That's like one of the biggest questions when someone asks paint, like, is it for interior or exterior? Because that makes a huge difference.
Makes a big difference. All right. So what we're going to do is, let's just make a horizon line. Where the sky touches the land.
In our example yesterday, when we saw that image, it was that deck with the outside scene. The horizon line is just the line where the sky meets the earth, basically. And that's what you see a lot in like sunset pictures, where it's the like the ocean. And maybe some other landscape elements, and then the sky. That's the horizon line.
Yeah. So you don't have to draw this, but just so we're clear, a horizon could be just water out here. This is the sky. There's a boat out here in the water.
And it varies, depending on the perspective.
Yeah. Sometimes your horizon is like this, and it's mountainous, but this line, is your horizon. It's where the sky meets the land. So not to be confused with the eye level line. Usually the eye level line is right at the horizon. We're always facing forward, and you look out there, and the horizon is where your eye level is. But your eye level sometimes looks up and you see the tops of buildings, or you look down. But for today, I mean, we're pretty much just going to keep everything at eye level. But that's a straight line. Eye level. Let's just write eye level. But just realize that this eye level line could go up, could go down. It's where, basically, north and south head tilts. Where are you looking? All right. Let's just keep it simple and put our vanishing point on the horizon, eye level line. And let's start with kind of like we did here. Where's my paper? Last hour. What is it? Using my marbles here. Second hour. Here we go. All right. We're basically going to do this. We've got our vanishing point. So that's step one. Now it's time to do step two. Draw some shapes. So right over here, I'd like you to draw a square. You can use your straight edge if you want to make it real pretty. Or you could just freehand it if you're pretty good. It's just note-taking. I doubt anyone's going to try to frame this and sell it on eBay. Heck, let's get advanced. Put a triangle on top of this house. But don't do it yet. There's actually a perfect way to find out where the peak of this house would be. Yeah, you could just draw it like you did when you were a kid, but we're going to use the X trick. If I go from this corner to this corner, do this lightly, and from this corner to this corner, I have just found the exact center of that square. Same as if you were doing some origami. You take your square piece of paper, you fold it in half a couple times, well, you found the exact center. Now, if I go up through the middle of that center, I know I found the exact point of where that peak of my house would be. I mean, it could be way up here. It could be a really tall peak like on a church, or it could be lower. I'll just do it right there. You know, I decide where to put that point. But now I know that it is mathematically, perfectly, indubitably located right in the middle. I know it seems like a little bit of extra work, but that's what perspective is. It's just a little extra work so that it looks perfect. So this house is below my eye level. I'm going to end up looking at the roof and side of this house. But let's, just before we get to drawing orthogonals, let's draw some more shapes. Our step two. Let's do a building that's maybe below and above the eye level. So I'm going to draw a rectangle over here. Maybe it's a tall, sort of skyscraper kind of thing. Well, not too big, but... And I'll have some erasing to do because I've crossed over my horizon. But really all I'm doing is just making a vanishing point and drawing a rectangle just like before. Step 3, orthogonals. If you want to go ahead and get busy on it, you can, but I'm going to turn these two shapes into three-dimensional forms, or implied forms anyway. Let's start with this rectangle. It's got two corners that can see the vanishing point without drawing through my shape. So I'm going to line up my corners and lightly, that's the word for the day, lightly draw your orthogonals because you are going to end up erasing some of those. Now you'll have to decide how long that building is. Maybe it's a wall that goes on, like the wall Trump's going to build, for miles and miles and miles. Or maybe it is, well, a little shorter. But I'm going to make a line parallel to this one, and I'm going to decide to put it, I don't know, maybe right here. Maybe it's like the Holiday Inn. But I know that line's got to be vertical, go straight up and down. And that's step 4. Let's do step 5 and not let anyone see my magic here. Erase those orthogonals. You know what, just because I can, I'm going to throw another square up here. And there's really just one corner that can see the vanishing point without drawing through my shape. That's this one. I'm going to send that toward the vanishing point. And then I'll just make another parallel line that goes straight down. So maybe there's a little AC unit up there, a little air conditioner, or who knows. Oh, let's add a detail, jeez. Maybe it's something for a flagpole or something. We'll give a sign of a kind of an idea of the scale. So hope you got that to work for you. Every line on this building over here is either vertical, horizontal, or orthogonal. If you're super advanced and you want to move ahead to this one, you can. I'm going to go a little slow. But I see 3 corners here that can see that vanishing point without drawing through my house. And I'm going to send 3 orthogonals toward the vanishing point lightly. In fact, I start to get into the habit of doing this. I line it up, I send them that way, and I just kind of let it feather out. I mean, I know I'm going to erase them anyway. Oh, it drives me nuts when people just take their pencil and just make dark orthogonals, and then you can't erase them, and then you see them all. And you don't want people to see your magic. You want to kind of show off, you know, like I know, perspective. And don't let them see those. Let's do another. Connect the dots. All right, that makes sense. You know, that house, the roof is parallel, but in our mind's eye, it looks like it's getting closer together. Those lines are converging. So you have to decide if this is a long strip mall or if this is a little house or a barn, or, you know, this is step 4. You decide, you know, where you're going to put your parallel lines. For me, I'm going to put my straight edge right on the edge here and back it up, not turning it. That would look weird if your house was tilted. You know, it's a house. It stands up straight. Maybe you're right there. So that these 2 lines are parallel. Now with the roof, well, this is the one I want to look at. This line here. I need a line parallel to that. It's got to go the same direction. You don't just guess and go, I mean, kind of like that? You mean like over here? Like how do I... Hello? It's got to be the same direction as the rest of your roof. Parallel. There's no really thinking about it. No guessing. It's like math. There's an answer. And you end up with a house in accurate one-point perspective. It's 3D. But don't forget to erase those orthogonals. Hope you did them lightly. So really, guys, this isn't much different. I hope you're seeing the connective tissue here. We drew squares and rectangles and triangles and a vanishing point and just, you know, now that we have a little background, a little bit of a scene, the stuff starts to come to life. You can use some of your landscape knowledge to bring these into focus.
All you're doing differently from what you did before is just putting these individual shapes together as opposed to just drawing them separate. You're just combining, for example, at the house, just a rectangle and a triangle, but all the same rules still apply.
All right, let's have some fun. Let's add a road in here. We've got this vanishing point. Let's have a road. Now this time I am actually breaking a rule here. I'm going to go, okay, got the vanishing point. I'm going to skip step 2, and I'm going to draw some orthogonals. So I'm just going to go, and I've got a very basic road with 2 lines. Those lines are going to the vanishing point, just like the railroad tracks or the road we looked at yesterday in the presentation. Let's fancy this up a bit. Maybe there's a curb, so it's not just 2 lines, but if I add 2 more really thin lines here, now I've got a little bit of a curb that could take me up to the sidewalk. Heck, let's make a sidewalk. Let's make 2 more lines. So all I've done here is made 6 lines going toward the vanishing point. But, I'm spreading them out differently so I can think about the structure I'm trying to make. If you had lines on your sidewalk, they would be horizontal so that it looks like you could walk on your sidewalk. This drives me crazy when people do this. I'm like, so I just make some lines like this. Only if you want to skateboard on that and you want a ramp. Those are diagonals, and so they'll make your sidewalk look like it's going up on a diagonal. But if you were to take your straight edge and make some lines that are straight across, that are flat, then it will look flat. Now what I'm going to do as I move my straight edge up is make these lines a little closer each time. Just a little bit. To be honest, there is a more mathematical way to do this. I'll be showing that to some of you more individually. But for now, let's just try to make each one a little bit closer than the next, because they're going to be a little smaller and a little further away. And heck, once you get back here, I don't know how many you'll see. You might just kind of just put a few lines in there. Flat sidewalk. If they're angled even a little bit, then your sidewalk's going to look like it's angled. You want to make this really fancy. If your curb is actually going vertical, well, make these lines go down, go vertical. Verticals go up. Horizontals make things look flat. So that's a nice little detail. Now the road looks like it's sunken down. Let's just zoom in on that so you can see a bit more. Let's do one more advanced thing. Not too advanced. We're going to use our X trick again. Check this out. I'm just going to make 2 horizontal lines anywhere I want. I'll just make another one up here in my road. Do it really lightly. I just decided to put them there. Super light though. Now if I want to find out where the lines, those dotted dashed lines in the middle of the road, if I want to put them right in the middle of the road without guessing, I can do the X trick. And I found the exact middle of the road. Oh, I love that X trick. In fact, let's write that down. Just write down X trick so you don't forget it. We're probably going to use that about 50 times over the next few days. It's one of my faves. Just helps you find the middle of something. Whether it's a piece of paper, whether it's a road. So right now I'm just going to go a little bit left and a little bit right. Now it looks like I got one long line going right through the middle of my road. I'll show you how to make it dashed in a second. Hopefully you're still with me. Well, just like the sidewalk, I'm going to make a bunch of horizontal lines, but I'm going to make them a little bit closer each time. And then I'm going to erase half of them. So we're not just drawing rectangles, we're drawing orthogonal lines, putting them in the middle of the road. You should erase your X trick here so no one sees your special sauce, but maybe you want to leave some of it just so you can remember. How do I do that again? Oh yeah. So this is just note taking. We need a few more details on these buildings. They're looking a little boring. I'm not staying the night here. Let's look at this big building here. Maybe this is, I don't know, a CVS. Right across the street from this house. Anything on this front side is what I call basic. It's just verticals and horizontals. You don't need perspective. You don't need to think about orthogonals and the vanishing point and all this. You just draw what you want. I mean, you probably should use a straight edge, but it's a door. I mean, it's just straight up and down. Maybe there's a sign here. Again, you could use a ruler, make it nice and neat, but it's just basic. Whatever you want to draw. If you want to make some windows, you're just going to be making vertical lines and horizontal lines, and you're going to end up making your windows. If it were me, I'd probably measure and make everything nice and neat. You can make little measurements and figure out where everything lives. But you don't need to worry about perspective. It's just normal, basic, verticals, horizontals. Same with the front of your house. Remember when you were a kid and you just made your door and you didn't worry about perspective? Same deal. Maybe you've got let's put some trim around that. Ooh, I need a ruler. Windows. You don't need to worry about perspective. Whatever's up here, just basic. If you had some bricks, you could just make lots of lines. And you could make yourself some bricks. So we're not going to bring this into, I'm not going to add too much detail. I just want you to get the idea that it's just a basic setup here. Unlike the sides of these, the side of your house, the side of your building, those are angled. So these areas are going to require a different solution. So let's put something over here. Let's put a garage door on her CVS. That would be kind of weird, but let's do it. The first thing I should tell you is, if we just look at this side, I need you to all look up here right now. This is pretty important. This side is made up of two types of lines. They're either vertical or they're orthogonal. So really, anything I put on the side, like a garage door, it's going to be vertical. It's going to stand up straight. That would be weird if it was all angled or something. And it's going to be orthogonal. the top of this garage needs to go toward the vanishing point. So if you make a little garage door there, the first thing I would make sure you want to do is make sure that it is standing up straight. Straight up and down. Vertical. If it's not, it's going to look a little funky. I think I'd like to find where the middle of that garage door is. So what would I use to find the middle of it? The X trick. And now I can go right through the middle. And I can divide that garage door in half. Notice that this line here is an orthogonal, going toward the vanishing point. Most doors have a couple more bends in them, so I'm going to use the X trick 2 more times. I'm going to divide these 2 rectangles in half. And go through the middle of those. That's looking more like a garage door. Now, if I had a window up here, I can't make it basic. This would be weird if I just made like a rectangle up here. That's not going to work. You know, I can keep the sides of this. I know the window is going to stand up straight. But the top and bottom of this window, just like the top and bottom of this side, has to go to the vanishing point. Then it will look like it's sitting on this side. So anything on this side is basically going to be vertical or orthogonal.
Just keep in mind when you're working, it's either parallel or orthogonal. Those are your only options. So if you're not sure, ask yourself what you're trying to do.
Good point. Let's do one more fun thing here. On this side right here, I'm going to try to divide it in half. Just put a little tick mark, a little hash mark there. Just whatever you think is half. I could use a ruler and measure, but if I was doing this for a client, I'd probably measure. Now try to find where the quarter is, like maybe right about here. Try to divide that into quarters. Just visually. It doesn't have to be perfect. Try to divide it into eighths. Try to find the middles between all of those. Oh, heck, I'll do it one more time. Just trying to find the middle. And what I'm going to do is play connect the dots and show you how to make lots and lots of lines in case there were some aluminum siding or bricks or something on this. So watch as I'm going to put my pencil on the vanishing point. I'm going to turn this, and now I'm going to make that line. Oops. I'll be more careful here. Watch as these lines change direction. They're all shooting toward the vanishing point. Oh, that's kind of wild. This one's horizontal because we're at eye level. I'll just do about that many. I would like you to try right now to put a door on this side. Maybe there's a side door. Now, you know it's going to stand up straight, just like the sides of this building. So don't do something like this where your door is sideways. Make sure it stands up straight. It's vertical. The top of your door is orthogonal. It goes toward the vanishing point. You could make a roof on this house, and you could divide this into different sections that are all equidistant apart. Probably would use a ruler. And you could make shingles. If you wanted to put something right in the middle of this house, I would think the middle's about right here. But maybe you want a little weather vane up there, one of those little wind turners that sometimes are horses or roosters. Well, I could use my X trick and find the very middle. And then I could go through the center. Oh, actually it's all right over here. That makes more sense. So the center of this roof is not the logical measurement of the center, it's the center here. We've only got a few more minutes, so I'd like you to play a little bit with some of these ideas. Start to think about horizontals and orthogonals. I'm just going to draw a few more little details. And if you need help, I want you to come see me. You could add other things to your scene, other windows, other doors. Other details that make it come to life, like trees and bushes.
Taking the time to do extra details like this is really going to make your image interesting and standing out. Obviously the foundation is getting your basic shape strong accurately in perspective, but once you have that done, you have 90% of your work done. It's just, adding details and making it look nice. And the most important thing is getting the drawing right, but if your drawing is right, then you have a solid foundation to do everything else.
So after a while, it just becomes kind of fun. My idea of fun and yours may differ, but what I'd like you to do, because I'm going to be checking these, is just take a few more minutes and see if you can beef it up a little bit. Tomorrow we're going to do an interior. We'll show you how to draw some tables and chairs and walls and furniture and clocks and other stuff. So I hope you guys are okay with this, because this is what we're doing for the whole week, and we're going to amp it up a little bit each day and teach you more and more tricks. That's really what this is about. We're just learning how to create space in new ways. Again, if any of this is a little tricky for you, check out the video online or come see me after class.